Hello, BookTube. Recently, one of you was very kind enough to send me this. A new piece of tech. An old piece of tech. A piece of tech that the viewer had but never used. So it had gone into a sock drawer somewhere or a cabinet and was never taken out again. Over the years on this channel, I have put forth a call for such abandoned tech. If it works, please send it to me. Your old iPad, your old Kindle, your old, even an old MacBook. I've had a couple of people send me old MacBooks, and they get a loving home here. I have, as you've seen, if you've watched this channel, I have a sweet tooth for tech. I love to play around with it. I love to use it. I love to let whim dictate what will get heavy use in 1 week, 1 month, sometimes a whole year. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot better a fate for these things than them just sitting gathering dust. And every once in a while, one of you is generous enough to heed that call, and one of you did and sent me this thing. This is an Amazon Fire HD, the 11th generation. So it's their answer to the iPad. It's a full-size touchscreen content consumption device. It's not an e-reader. It's not e-ink. It's a full-blown Android tablet. And also, they sent it in this wonderful case, which has this curving handle that is just so wonderful for, you can position this in any way you like. You can hold it, you can set it up as a screen for touch hands-free watching while you do something else. You can even hook it onto a bookcase if you're rummaging around on a bookcase and you want to continue watching that one all-important video. The only problem with this thing, this is a really good device. The Amazon Fire 10 HD is a really good device. Every single reviewer, every commentator on, tablet tech on YouTube, they've all made that observation, that whether or not it fits your needs, it really does up the game for what you can get. For these things are very inexpensive. They're not free unless one of you is kind enough to send me one. Otherwise, but getting a Kindle Fire HD, even kitted out with a large amount of storage and maybe no ads, and get yourself a case, maybe you get yourself a keyboard, still is going to be only a fraction of what an iPad would cost you. An equivalent iPad for the equivalent year of manufacture would be 5 times as expensive. So one of you sent me this, and I opened it on camera and squealed about it, and I've been squealing about it ever since. It really was very generous, but it wasn't of any use to me right out of the box. I'm pretty sure that the person who sent this to me factory reset it before they did. So, wipe all there. You should do that if you're going to send me tech. Definitely wipe it clean first. I will wipe it clean if you don't. But if you don't trust that, or if you're worried about it going astray and someone else getting it other than me, then wipe it clean yourself. And I'm sure that the people who sent this did, which means that when I powered it up, I got the Amazon initial stock device. And that's of precious little use to me, because the Amazon initial stock device it's an Android tablet, but it has an Amazon skin on it, a bunch of Amazon junk on it. It is designed to funnel money into Amazon's pockets. It's not designed to be an all-purpose useful device. Third party are 2 horrible words in the Amazon vocabulary. So it was designed really to funnel money into Kindle, or to give money to Amazon because they are in partnership with the third-rate knockoff app designers that fill their Amazon's app store. All these Krusty the Clown knockoff apps. There are a few major things, a few major devices, major apps that everybody uses all the time that have made financial deals with Amazon or have been bought by Amazon, so they will be in the Amazon App Store, but not nearly everything, and not a lot of the things that you really want. And I knew that going into this thing. I showed you what this thing, we turned it on, we powered it up, and I showed you what this thing looked like originally. And I mentioned in that video that, as I do with almost all of the Amazon tech that I get, I'm just going to have to repurpose it. I'm going to have to fix it so that I can use it as a daily tablet. And that no longer involves rooting the device. Once upon a time, that's what it was necessary to do. In order to get rid of all that stuff, you had to root the Amazon skin off the thing by completely stripping the operating system off the device and then putting another operating system on it. That is probably still possible. In fact, I'm sure that it's still possible for an Amazon device, but there's no longer any real reason to do that. And that has hazards of its own. That rooting a device like that thoroughly might not work. You can certainly take the operating system off the device completely, but there's no absolute guarantee that you can make it live again, that you can put another device on it, another system on it. And that in that case, you would be just bricking your machine. You wouldn't be able to use it anymore. And it's not necessary to do that anymore. All that's really necessary, the Amazon system can stay up and running. You don't need to disturb the device that way. All you have to do is trick it into downloading the Kindle Play Store. The Kindle Play Store is vast. It's a huge ecosystem of everybody's on there. Every app is on there. The old Open Letters Monthly app was on there. Every app in the world that you want is on there. And it doesn't come on Amazon, and you can't get it through Amazon. You have to sort of trick the device into installing it after the fact. But you don't need to root the device anymore to do that. It's just a very simple process. You just go to, there are a number of websites. You go to a website, you download the Google Systems Framework, and then you download the Google Systems Manager, and then you download the Google Play Framework, and then you download the Google Play Store, the little triangular app that you're familiar with. You download each of those AKPs from a number of different sites. It doesn't take all that long. It takes about 15 minutes to do. It can be a little bit intimidating if you've never done it before, but it's entirely possible. And once you've done that, then when you're finished and you've installed all those things in the proper order, the Amazon Play, the Kindle Play Store will be right there on your desktop. And once you've got that, you can go into the Kindle Play Store and download all the apps you want, all the stuff that isn't in the Amazon App Store, all the stuff that you are going to use as opposed to the knockoff versions from Amazon that you aren't going to use. And I mentioned in that video when I unboxed this thing that I was going to do that I was going to do that before I even used this thing. What would be the point of logging any kind of time on this thing until it's the kind of device I want? Once you've done that, once you've got the Google Play Store and you download all the apps you want, you can just sort of tuck all the Amazon native apps into a folder and never think about them again, and just use it as a regular tablet. I mentioned that I was going to do that, and then I would use this thing, and a number of you sent me emails saying, could you show us that? Because apparently, this channel is all about oversharing. Apparently, I can't mention anything without at least some of you wanting to see it. So I thought I would make a quick video showing you what I mean, especially since, in this case, we actually have a kind of before and after. I showed you what the original desktop of this thing looked like. Now I can show you what it looks like now. It looks very different now. I was able to figure out pretty much everything about this device, and it is a really, really good device. It can even do split screen. So if you have it in landscape mode and you want to be doing two things at the same time, you can split the screen and have two different windows operating at the same time. That's kind of amazing. So as you can see, I removed the stock background and put a poor, that is not Frida, that is a poor miniature schnauzer in a dopey costume. I saw a picture like this on Twitter and thought it was hilarious, so I used that as my background. This device doesn't appear to give me the option to do a different picture for the home screen and the lock screen. Most of my other devices do, but this one does not. So this is both the home screen and the lock screen. But you can see right away, right? I haven't yet figured out the way. I'm sure there is a way to get rid of the Discover banner for Amazon. It has a line right there. This is the things you've been doing recently, and these are special offers from Amazon of one kind or another. There's got to be a way, I'm sure that there's a hack on Reddit or somewhere to get rid of that banner. And I just haven't done it. It isn't all that much of an annoyance. It does mean that the whole of the desktop is not mine, and I would like the whole of the desktop to be mine. Obviously, since it's my device. I'd rather not have anyone else yelling commercials at me, but I can live with this until, some idle afternoon when I figure out how to get rid of that. And in the meantime, you can see what I did with the desktop. It's radically different. I still have these two folders. I took all of the Amazon bloatware and moved them into those folders. So there are some things in there that I might want. Prime Video is in there. I moved the Play Store app, the actual triangle, up there. I moved my settings up there into those folders. Those things I very much want, but I don't want them on my desktop. I'm a big fan of a clean desktop. The only reason that this isn't clean is because it doesn't have a dock. I don't think it does. Probably in the Google Play Store there is an app that I can do that will simulate an iPad-style dock down here, and then all these things could go down there, and the desktop would be clear except for that banner. Usually, I am a fan of a clear desktop, and that also applies to my MacBook. With a Chromebook, my beloved Chromebooks, you have a clean desktop anyway, because you don't have the ability to put little icons on the desktop of a Chromebook. But with a MacBook, there's a strong tendency to fill your desktop with stuff, and I'm not a fan of that at all. That clouds my thinking. As dumb and new age and productivity hack as that sounded, it clouds my thinking. So I like to have a nice, clean desktop. I like my desktop to have a minimum of things in the dock, a couple of folders, usually just one that says the current year, and it is full of the subsidiary folders that I want for my work, of one kind or another. All sorts of things in all sorts of different places. But I don't have all sorts of those things in different places scattered all over the desktop. They're all in that one place. And as I am finished with something, the desktop on my MacBook is where I work. And once I'm finished with a piece of work on that desktop, an open piece of work, if I can't see it, I don't think about it. And if I don't think about it, it misses its deadline. So I keep my work on my laptop's desktop, the open work, the current work. But when I finish with it, down it goes into that folder. It doesn't stay. The desktop on my MacBook is for current work. Current projects. Not so here. So I had to fill up this the little schnauzer. The thing seems so mortified to be wearing such a dumb costume. But here we have, I of course downloaded Google. I have the Barnes & Noble app, which might seem a little short-sighted because we don't know how long Barnes & Noble is going to stick around as a company. And when they go, well, the app will be sold off. Right? The parts of the company will be sold off separately. The cafe business, the textbook business, the app, those will all be sold off, and who knows what will happen to them. Who knows what will happen to the files that I have on it. I know that. I know all of that, but I really like the experience. The Barnes & Noble reading app was the first one that I got used to. So I have that app. It's the only short-sighted thing on here. The only thing I know is short-sighted. I also have the Read Era app on here, which is pretty good. The Read Era Premium is pretty good. You get the library view and you get tons and tons of searchability. It's every bit as good a reading app as iBooks or Kindle or Barnes & Noble, but it's extra. I can download books to Kindle or iBooks or Barnes & Noble anyway. The only reason that I have an extra app, the only reason that I have the Read Era app here is because it's really good for reading comic books, electronic comic books. And neither Kindle nor Barnes & Noble nor the iBooks is. There was an app that I used to use a lot called Chunky that was really good for reading comic books, but I don't think it exists anymore. And I just discovered recently that the Read Era app works on comics just fine. It reads those files just fine. So that's what I use the Read Era app for. If I'm in the mood to read a comic book or a million comic books, then I load them on there. And that works just fine. But I've got Voxer, of course. You should all Voxer me. Love the Voxer. Love it. Feel free. I keep getting reminded. I keep vetching about on my videos that nobody Voxers me. And I keep getting reminded by people that the reason why is because I don't put Voxer information on my videos. I really should just add that to the block of stuff that I put on there. I have Gmail on there and Google Docs. YouTube itself, the real YouTube, not the Amazon Play, the Amazon app version of YouTube, which I think is a desktop version. I put the Kindle app is one of the ones I saved from the bloat work. I didn't put that in a folder because I use that actively. I know that I could make another folder, right? I could make a third folder that says active or something like that and put all of these things in there. Probably I will do that down the line because I don't like a crowded desktop at all here. And then you've got Instagram, of course. That's where all my Frida pictures go. Twitter, where I argue with strangers. Which is one of the blessings of Twitter, is that I get to just pick a fight with strangers if I want, or even with friends. I can always lob an insult at Deb on Twitter, so that's a lot of fun. And the My Radar app, which works really well on this device. It's got a banner ad here. You click on that if it bothers you. But you get this this nice radar look at the United States, right? So this big blob right there, that is the big blob of rain that Massachusetts just recently had. We had a big blob of rain, and now it's gone. But you can take a look and see what's coming. Obviously, this storm, if it actually does come up the coast, will be here in about a week and might represent another blob of rain. And then there's this, whatever that is. Depends on what kind of direction that's taking. If it's the air currents here actually go like this, roughly like this. So a concentric circle here, here, and here. So it's very likely that a storm system here will come to me here in Massachusetts. That is very likely. If it isn't torn apart by the Great Lakes, if it doesn't fritter out of existence over the Catskills, then some remnant of that, if it moves, might come here in the distance, longer than a week. If this strengthens or even stays the same, see, you can zoom in on this to anywhere you want. You can zoom in. There's a little bit of a lag, but eventually this will catch up with the satellite information for whatever you're looking at. And this has layers. It has layers so that you can look at different aspects of the weather. I always find this to be fascinating because cable news forecasts, my beloved Matthew Capucci notwithstanding, they are sometimes as much about hype as they are about information, whereas maps and charts don't lie. This is a satellite telling this app that this system is there. So that system is there. This is something I can watch. I can watch it day by day to see the progress that it's making and determine whether or not it's going to have any effect on Massachusetts. It's just a fun thing. I sometimes broaden this out to look all over the world and just, spot what's what, see what's happening in the Pacific or the Atlantic, whether or not there are big storms somewhere that I used to live. I just find it fascinating. I love it. I love it as an app. And all of those things went on here with virtually no impact on the device's memory. This has like 25 gigs of storage, which won't seem like a lot to some of you who are real tech heads or gamers. But for me, 25 gigs is plenty of space. Eventually, believe it or not, even though it looks like there are a lot of apps on here, eventually it's the Read Era app that will eat into that space. Because comic book files are big. They're loaded with visuals, so they're big. If I put, I think right now I don't think I have much on the Read Era app. Yes, I do. Look at that. I have 4 Thor epic collections, and that's all so far. But in due time, in relatively quick order, that will have 1,000 comics on it, and that will eat into here. If we go to one of the catch-all folders and go to settings. Storage. What have we got for storage? I have, okay, well, I've eaten up some space here. I have 11 gigs free out of 25 on this. And I have absolutely everything that I want on here already. So 11 gigs, that isn't a lot of room. But provided I control myself with Read Era and don't load it with comic books, I will never fill 11 gigs with book files on Barnes & Noble or the Kindle or any other reading app that I will use. I'll never fill that. And I don't want anything else here. I'm not taking tons of pictures. I'm not taking videos on this device. I don't want anything other than what I have here. So 11 gigs is good headroom. That's good headspace for this. So I wanted to show you that's what I did here. See, this is the only problem that I can see with this device is one I actually had one of these a year ago. I had a Kindle Fire that one of you sent me, Kindle Fire HD. I think it was the 10th generation that somebody sent me. And it worked just fine. It was a workhorse. Took a lot of punishment. And eventually just started sort of spazzing out. And I think I know why. I think I know the reason for that. There's a cost that you pay for the low price of these things, which is low build quality. When you take the case, I mean, I would never take this case off. I love the case, but if you took the case off this and just had the plain old device, you'd see what I mean. It's a very plasticky device. There's flex. It makes sort of crunching noises when you flex it just a bit. It is clearly plastic through and through. It is clearly not meant to last for a long, long time. I can't imagine, it's 2023 now, I can't imagine using this device in any capacity in 2033. I don't think Amazon can imagine that. I don't think they'd feel insulted if you said that. I think that's not what this is. This was not built for that. Whereas, with my beloved iPads, that is not impossible at all. Take this, for instance. This is Little Henry. This was my very first iPad. This is an iPad second generation, and it is 11, 12 years old. This was given to me as a gift when this thing cost a lot of money, and it still works just fine. It still works just fine, and it came even back then with 64 gigs of storage. I have barely scratched the surface of this thing for storage. See, there we go. There is the display screen. You swipe it sideways here to get the home screen. There's the book I'm reading, OU text. Let's see here. The consideration that you want with this machine that you just have to keep in mind is that it's not lightning fast. You will give it touch commands, but you have to wait a second. And the key for me, the fascinating thing for me, is that seemed lightning fast when I was using this in 2011. That seemed lightning fast. It's not that pickup change has changed. It's my perception that has changed. So I tap on something here and think, why is this taking forever? When it's actually not. It's actually not taking forever. And here you can see this still works just fine. And there's what I'm talking about for the dock. The reason these things those are all that I need for this device. The reason these things aren't floating around on the desktop is because I have a dock for them. So I've got Voxer there, because you should all be Voxering me. I love the Voxer. I've got the Nook app. Notice that is the old version of the Barnes & Noble Nook app, not the new one. So I'm running the risk with this thing that it will update and crash or something like that. I'll have to re-download it. I've got the Kindle app, works just fine. I've got Google Chrome here because I noticed that the Google app itself tends to be a little reluctant on this device, doesn't really want to open. Probably because I don't have an old enough version. There's one of the things here that you're dealing with an older iPad is that you're not going to have the ability to run new versions of things. But I discovered that Google Chrome, of course, will download this. Google Chrome is a doorway, it's a portal, it's an operating system. It will work on this just fine. And it gives me access to everything else, to everything that won't download on this. Twitter, YouTube won't download on this. Instagram won't download on a device this old. But I can get them through Google Chrome. It's just an extra tap, that's all. And here we have the iBooks, the actual native bookstore for the iPad. I have thousands and thousands and thousands of books on here. I think, see what I mean? Once upon a time, this felt lightning fast. But now, it's taking a minute to load iBooks. But the time hasn't changed. It's only my perception that has changed. Once upon a time, I considered this to be just fine in terms of loading speed. And this just gives me shelf after shelf. We'd have to wait for it, but it gives me shelf after shelf after shelf of books. And then Gmail, which works just fine here. And then I also do have a kind of blockish folder there for everything else. For everything else that isn't on the desktop. And this has a lot of the iPad bloatware that I can no more get rid of than I can get rid of the bloatware on the Amazon Kindle. But as long as it's up there, it's out of my way. It doesn't matter to me. And what do we have here? See, there's the Chunky app. See, that's the one I mean. Once you've got the app on your device, it's there. Chunky hasn't recalled their app or anything, but this thing is just loaded with comics. It just has tons and tons of them. Just row after row after row of them. If I do that with the Read Era app on the Amazon thing, it will be full. Absolutely full. This is also very touchingly. See, I have the Google app. I haven't had the heart to get rid of it. even though I don't think it works on this device anymore. Let's give it a try. I don't think it opens on this device. I think you just go to the old multicolored Google without the banner, without the preachy banner every day. And the Google Now, the Google Explore, and all that. Oh, look at that! It did load. Fantastic. Okay, so it just takes some time. All right, but in the folder, I also have the camera, and the camera has tons and tons of photos. Every photo that I've ever taken with this device is here. Uh, and uh, Here, let me show you. Let me see if I can find. This is such a lovely device, but it is not good for. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. I'd just be making myself sad. The point is that. The point is that. Oh wait, no, there we go. It is going to work. The point is that there are tons of photos on here from the whole time that I've had this device. Going all the way back, thousands and thousands of photos. It's not even scratching the surface of the available storage. Good Lord. I've got more storage on this thing than I could possibly use. Uh, and if you go back far enough in these photos, you get tons and tons of photos uh, of my girls. You get tons and tons of photos of my old Basset Hound Lucy. Tons and tons of them. This is what I didn't have a cell phone. This is what I used. This was my first touchscreen device of any kind. I used this to take photos of my girls. Boy, oh boy, that was something. There are so many of them on here. I didn't get rid of any of them. I just kept them all, so they're all on here. And that can be a trip down memory lane. Of course, that's a sweet trip down memory lane, but it has a melancholy aspect to it. The non-melancholy aspect here that I'm glad of, the reason why I'm glad I have all these photos, is because they also include photos of every single book haul that I ever got. Every single one is on this device. I can just call them up and look. I took, in hipster fashion, I took pictures of every single book haul that I got of any size, and so many of those books are gone now. They're not on this device anymore. They're just scattered to the winds, mailed to a lot of people. These are from 2015. A lot of these photos are. So they this would be before BookTube. This would be before I had a BookTube channel. So look at all these things. Look at this. Look at this one. Can you believe it? Mail hauls that you had no part of. Oh no, the horror. You've got. I always took pictures of my Basset Hound's gigantic spatulate paws all over everything that I got. I had a blast because this was such a fun thing. I'd never had anything like this before. It was such a fun thing to have this and to play around with it. Oh, wow. Son of a gun. Look at all these pictures. There are even videos. There are little video clips of my dogs. I wonder if I could get one of those to play on this. Could I do that? I wonder if I could. Let's give it a try. I just recently, on a whim, pulled this thing out of my own tech closet and powered it up. And I found a cord for it and powered it up, and it works just fine. It keeps a charge for a long, long time. And so I just started using it, and it works just fine. It doesn't do a lot of the bells and whistles. Some of the bells and whistles that I want, that I just expect for a device, take extra time. They take extra tapping on the screen. I can get to Twitter. I can get to YouTube. I can get to Instagram, but it takes an extra tip or two. And I was thinking about it while I was wrangling around with that naturally and wasting time with trying to come up with backdoors and workarounds to try and make that work. I was thinking about all that, and then I realized, well, do I really want that? Do I really want to have those things nagging at me all the time? Instead of using this for what it clearly wants to be and for what it mostly has been in my life, which is, oh, goodness gracious. Oh, goodness. Here we go. That's me and my baby. Malin's around somewhere, but Lucy was always right on top of me, as my interior organs could attest. But I was wrangling around with those things and trying to come up with backdoor formulations and whatnot. Uh, when I realized, well, this thing clearly wants to be just a place where I go to read. So why not use it for that? Why not use it as Micah Cummins referred to it as a reading sanctuary? Why not use it as that? And I have been, and it works just fine for that. It actually is extremely peaceful in its own weird way. Uh, wow, I can't find any movies. I'm sure they're on here, but you can tell. You can tell from how much I am scrolling here, uh, just how much content is on here without doing anything to the memory. There's so much memory left on this thing. I would never. Oh goodness. Yeah, there's Reed Kelly as your friendly neighborhood web slinger. Look at this. This was March 2013, and this was a picture that I took of my first MacBook with Lucy in the background there. I took a picture of it. I finally had the hipster ability to take pictures of things as they were happening. It was very, very interesting. I have continued to do that ever since. Wow, look at all these things. Oh, look at that. And the absolute constant throughout it all is the footlocker that has stayed here through thick and thin. My old friend, the footlocker, has been around forever, been with me forever. But like I was saying, you can tell by how much I'm scrolling here just how much stuff is on here, and yet I am nowhere near being out of room. So it seems like a bit of a waste to have this thing just sitting in a drawer somewhere. Oh, there we go. Okay, I can hear a siren coming. I don't want to block the background noise here. It's a federal holiday here in Boston, so we don't have much in the way of traffic, but that doesn't mean freedom from sirens at all. Here we go.
Your sister is not that way. She's a good dog. You're a bad dog. You are. A loudmouth little fathead. That's what you are. I fed you. I patted you. I walked you. I bagged your poo-poo. And I'm still getting barked at. Oh, you horrible little monster. Oh, you bark at me.
So anyway, this is a perfectly functioning machine. It is old, so the pickup with the touch gestures is slow, much slower than the Kindle, and it has these wide bezels. The bezels were a warfare area for iPads and still are. So you barely have any bezels on your iPad now, but otherwise a completely functional device. And yet, okay, we have to wait for another siren. I know they're not very audible when I make my videos. I could probably stand to just ignore them, but on my end, it feels like I'm shouting over them. So I wanted to give you this update. This went on way, way too long because I went down memory lane. I could take you on a tour of that old iPad. Good Lord, there's years and years of stuff on there. This is what I did with the Kindle that one of you so kindly sent me. I put my own background picture on it. I cleaned up all the Amazon junk and put my own junk on there instead and immediately started to fill it. So there's thousands of books on this device now. And I love it. Absolutely love it. But my loving it doesn't mean that I don't want such a device from you. I do. So feel free to send me your tech. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up for now because I'm only tempted to go through those pictures and videos on the old iPad forever and ever. But the thing is, the point I was trying to make with that wasn't that I was going down memory lane. It was that when people always say that you have to be pretty shallow and insecure to buy an Apple product just for the logo, but you're also buying build quality. I mean, part of it, yes, is that you're paying for a logo, but part of it is that you're getting something that is being designed to be used for a very long time. The Apple second generation is not supported by anything anymore. It's not supported by Apple or any third party anymore. There are workarounds that you can do to make it functional. It is still a very functional device, but not for a daily thing. Not this. This is my new Apple, and this is my new MacBook, and it is completely 100 times more functional than this thing. This is mainly for reading, and what a great thing. That's mostly what I've used this for in my life, is reading. So I don't think I'm ever going to have this for this. I'm pretty sure that in 4 years this won't be usable anymore. And it won't be because it's not being updated, it'll be because it doesn't physically work anymore. We'll see. I could be wrong. I don't have an Amazon device that's that old. They've either broken or I've got rid of them. So I don't really know. We shall see. We shall see. I'm sure that some of you do. I'm sure I've had stories from some of you about your Amazon, like for instance, a Kindle Fire that still works just fine after years. I'm sure that I've heard stories like that. I'm sure there are stories like that online. But I don't know if there's anything equivalent to this. And this has been pleasing me, so I thought I would give it a little limelight in the video. But anyway, that's your tech update for today. I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.